that one time when OJ Simpson was arrested for murdering his wife and then was found not guilty? Oh, did you know that Nicole Brown Simpson's family sued OJ civilly later and they won? How did that happen? And remember how Alec Baldwin shot and killed that person on the set of The Rust? Then his criminal case was dismissed, but I heard he's also getting sued civilly. How does this work? And what is going on? Welcome to Gavels Down, Voices Up, where we flip the script on conventional legal discussions. I'm Rachel King, here to guide you through the murky waters of family law, estate conflicts, inheritance disputes, all of the dramas. We're not just talking about law, we're talking about how it affects your life, your rights, your future, and your money. From the courtroom to your living room, we bring you insights that matter. Dive into each episode ready to challenge, learn, and grow. Ready to change the dialogue? Let's begin. Gavels down, voices up. Today on Gavels Down, Voices Up, we're going to talk about all of these celebrity cases that start out in criminal court, fail there, and then still end up in civil, specifically focusing on the latest and greatest Alec Baldwin death. What are we calling it? Homicide? Well, it's certainly a homicide. What level of homicide, I guess maybe we'll never know. So let's go back to the 90s. Actually, in the 90s, I was living in LA and I remember picture memories of this white Bronco speeding past our house. What happened just shortly before that, apparently, is that OJ Simpson went on the run. It was all over the news that he was going through town in his white Bronco. And my parents took me out onto the street and we watched the white Bronco speed past. I don't know if that was a good decision or not, but anyway, I remember it. It stayed with me. And now we're going to talk about it decades and decades later. So to recap the OJ Simpson, remember he was a big time football player and he was married to Nicole Brown Simpson. This is back in the day where OJ Simpson, as an African-American man, married a white actress. I think she was an actress, and it had all sorts of drama in regard to that. But then you add in that she ends up dead, also a homicide, and her celebrity husband is the biggest suspect, not just the biggest suspect, but he's actually arrested. And if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. That was the saying that was procured, created, invented by his defense team. Very likely, well, maybe not the cause of the innocence. We might find the not guilty verdict the result of the Rodney King riots that had happened just a little while before, where the police officers were found not guilty for Rodney King's death. And so there was like a sense of revenge or judicial correction that needed to happen. So then comes OJ Simpson. I wasn't on the jury. And even as an attorney, I really believe that we need to trust our jury because they're sitting there hearing all of the evidence. Nonetheless, OJ was acquitted. He was found not guilty. I'm not sure if you could find a person as we sit here today that is familiar with the OJ murder trial and have them say that they think OJ was not guilty. But nonetheless, he was acquitted. And then what happened? Well, OJ was sued by Nicole Brown's family, that is his late wife's family, and they wanted a whole bunch of money. And he had to pay it. Now, this is likely because there was a difference. It was not so much media hype. A lot of time had passed, and money is different than incarceration. Because money is different than incarceration, our judicial system works a little bit differently. When we're in criminal court, it's the people versus. It's the DA prosecuting. And what we're trying to do is take that person out of society and block them, put them in a cell, lose their freedoms. So for that, we have beyond a reasonable doubt. That's a much higher standard. We're not even allowed to quantify it in law school to come up with how much or how high that burden is. It is like there is no possible way, there's not one bit of doubt that could justify how it would happen any other way than this. It's pretty high. So in criminal court, regardless of the reasons and what was going on in the political and societal climate, OJ didn't meet that burden according to the jurors. So we pop over to civil. It wasn't a criminal case, it was a civil case. And we're not getting charged with murder. We're getting sued for a different civil crime, maybe battery. I haven't looked up the exact causes of action that he was sued for, but the burden is much smaller. Why? Because we're not going to take away your freedoms and your power. We're going to take money, and money comes and goes. We treat it a lot differently. In civil court, the burden is preponderance of the evidence. And this is so much lower than criminal court that you're actually allowed. In law school, we're taught you can go ahead and put a percentage on that one, and it's 51%. 51% more likely than not that this did happen. So in civil court, it's like 51% likely that OJ was the cause of death. Yeah, they were able to prove it. And OJ was forced to write out a whole large check. So while we're on OJ, that cost him a lot of money. Probably his defense fees did. And then he was out of the celebrity spotlight. So he became broke. So then we fast forward, I don't know, to sometime in the 2000s. And he's getting arrested for burglary, for burglarizing his own signed memorabilia. And you know what? I guess he had to go to jail for that one too. Finally, it caught up with him and they said, my goodness, you probably got away with murder, so you're not going to get away with burglary. I don't know if OJ did it. If you asked me off the record, I'd probably say yes, but I was a tiny tot when this whole thing happened. I will say, if you get away with murder, maybe don't break the law ever again. OJ ended up doing time for burglary. Let's take a quick break. If you're navigating the twists and turns of divorce, you might be wondering, getting divorced, now what? That's actually the title of my upcoming book, designed to guide you through the challenging and emotional process of divorce. It's packed with real-life stories, expert tips, and motivational insights to empower you every step of the way. While it's not available just yet, you can join the waitlist to make sure you don't miss out. Head over to rachelkingattorney.com to sign up to be the first to get a copy and enter to win a free signed copy as soon as it releases. Arm yourself with the knowledge to move forward confidently through this challenging time. Now let's get back to the show. What is sort of going on in the Alec Baldwin case? So let's talk about Rust. Alec Baldwin, maybe you know who he is, maybe you don't, whatever. Google him, you can find everything you ever wanted. But he's a celebrity actor, and he was on the set allegedly shooting some scene for the Rust, doing a rehearsal, discharged the gun, and it shot this poor person on set. Didn't just shoot them, but killed them. This is different than, when Dick Cheney, didn't he get shot in the butt, or did he shoot somebody else in the butt? Anyway, that person survived. In this case with Alec Baldwin, no, the person did not survive. They ended up dead. The armsman, who was the one that loaded the gun, actually was charged criminally as well. I don't know if he pled or not, but there's an involuntary manslaughter charge that he is serving time for now. So at least we got that one under criminal. That's the beyond a reasonable doubt. So then Alec Baldwin goes up. I'm not sure of the total amount of charges, but ultimately in the middle of it, the court threw out the criminal case, just decided, no, there is not enough here to move forward with this charge. So we're dismissing it. So there's no murder, which probably not. I don't think Alec Baldwin meant to cause serious bodily harm, nor did he probably intend to kill this innocent person. So probably murder would have been out no matter what. No manslaughter, no involuntary manslaughter. The entire case for Alec Baldwin was dismissed. The People versus Baldwin is over. He's not going to have any criminal charges, but while that is some relief because he's not going to have to do time, he won't have that on his criminal record, though the whole entire society knows what happened. He's now facing a civil suit by Hutchins' family. Hutchins' family has brought a civil suit against Alec Baldwin for dollar signs. That's right. No amount of money is ever going to bring her back, but maybe it'll be some, I don't know. It will help them with the grieving process. Hopefully they are in counseling. Nonetheless, this civil case, similar to OJ's, is for money as a result of Alec Baldwin shooting and killing Miss Hutchins. The burden, though, is quite low, again, by a preponderance of the evidence, much different than beyond a reasonable doubt that would have been required in criminal court. Hutchins' family only has to prove that it was more likely than not, 51% likelihood that Alec did do this thing and reach the elements to get a verdict. How much money will really be depending, that's like a whole nother thing, how much money, if he is found liable, he will have to pay, probably another court proceeding. But nonetheless, this case is still going on. And it's probably going to go all the way to trial, though I wouldn't be surprised if Alec Baldwin actually settles. Here's why. Civil suits can get mighty expensive. I think he actually feels bad about what happened. Can you imagine unintentionally discharging a weapon? Maybe it was a stupid thing to do. Maybe there was a lot of negligence, carelessness, all of the things that went into it. But can you imagine shooting the gun? Or maybe not even pulling the trigger, right? He's saying he didn't pull the trigger. Not pulling the trigger, whatever happened, you have a gun in your hand, you squeeze it or you don't, who knows? And all of a sudden, because of you having that gun pointing at where you were and taking whatever action took place, somebody's dead. I bet he feels torn apart about this. How much money he'll have to pay, whether he'll do it voluntarily or whether the court will tell him, or maybe he's not even gonna have to pay. The whole situation is really, really tragic, and it'll be interesting to see what happens in the Alec Baldwin civil case. It's very likely to go a far different route than the criminal case did because, again, it just got thrown out. I'm not sitting here saying that Alec Baldwin shooting Hutchins is the same thing as OJ Simpson shooting his wife. But what I am trying to illustrate is that there is a difference between criminal court and civil court. And just because it doesn't happen in criminal court doesn't mean it can't happen in civil court. That being said, if you were found guilty in criminal court, like open, shut case in civil court, because if it was beyond a reasonable doubt, then it was certainly more likely than not. Yeah, you dig? All right. So this brings up a lot of questions on gun laws. Should we have them? Do we need to have them more strict? What should go on? And you know what? I'm not going to really talk about it because I think everybody should be able to form their own opinion, and your opinion absolutely matters when it comes to gun control. I will sit here and say that I live on a farm and I have rattlesnakes, and I think having some kind of shotgun or protection when you are dealing with a farm is probably a good idea. Also, as an attorney, I'm really, really fond of our Constitution. I really believe that the right to bear arms is important to our Constitution, though, there might be some situations where we need to restrict or even broaden that case. I can't buy a gun living in California in any other state. That annoys me. I don't even necessarily want a gun, but the fact that I can't buy one if I'm in Nevada kind of bugs. Anyway, that's off topic. I'm interested to hear what you think. Did OJ do it? Did Alec do it? Should they have been found guilty in criminal court? Is it okay to then have them just pay? What do you think about these celebrities that are committing potential crimes, not getting prosecuted, but then moving it over to civil court? Or maybe we shouldn't even allow to. What are your thoughts? Also, on a side note, how do you feel about the Second Amendment? Where do you stand on that? Let's get into the good stuff, especially with the election pending. Why not just talk about it all? Should we throw in religion and abortion and all of the hot topic items? Or should we keep this podcast a little bit more informational? Anyway, pop on over to my socials, The Lawyer King on TikTok. Tell me what you think. Put it all over my Facebook wall. I want to know your thoughts on this. I don't easily offend. Even if I offend you or you offend me, I'm probably just going to write it off. So let's get your take on it. That wraps up another episode of Gavels Down, Voices Up. If you found value in our discussion today, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with someone who needs these insights. Your engagement helps us grow and impact more lives. I'm Rachel King, thanking you for listening and reminding you to speak up because every voice deserves to be heard.